Hey everybody, Magic Mike here. I'm your wholesaler coach. I'm the people's stripper. I strip it down and show you how I do it in my business so that you can do it in yours. I teach people how to wholesale deals automatically. And the topic of discussion today is learn how to say no to the deal. So a problem that I have, or a problem that a lot of my students have, is that they'll talk to everybody about a deal, which is good, and you let people know, hey, I flip houses, this is what I do. If you have any real estate you want to sell or buy, remember, talk to me, right? But it'll usually go down as hey, I was at Kroger in the line checking out, and this guy was like, well, hey, I got this property I want to get rid of, blah blah blah, and they want too much for it, or they're not motivated, and then the student comes back and they say, hey, Magic Mike, right? So they call me Magic Mike. Actually, they just call me Mike. All right, you don't have to actually call me Magic Mike, but they'll say, what do we do with this deal? And I'll usually say, well, hey, they're not motivated. That's what comes first. When you get the link to Podio and you see all the questions that are asked, first comes motivation, then whether or not the property is a deal. And that motivation matters first. I would rather talk to somebody with a crap deal as long as they've got good motivation or high motivation, as opposed to someone who has a great deal and doesn't have a lot of motivation. Because a lot of these students too are also the kind of people who are good at talking to anybody. They can just strike up a conversation. Like me, they will have a conversation with a wrong number. That's me right there. And of course, I'll let them know, hey, I do real estate, just so you know. So you got to get that plug in there, right? And you can't turn something into a deal if it's not a deal. There's also other ones where they'll have to pay me money for the plot of land or the property in order for it to make any money, for the deal to make any sense. And there was a guy who runs Apple, Steve Jobs. Oh gosh, I can't believe I forgot that. But in his book, or in the biography of him, I think it's called Steve Jobs, he talks about how he had to learn to say no to certain things, because he realized later on he would have to start saying no. So it's better to have the control and say no to the things that that will make you less money, so that when those things come in that will make you a lot of money come in, you don't have to say no to, right? So if for example, you have a couple deals come in and you end up using business credit, for down payments on them, or to creatively pay the bank and make the seller happy, then there's a certain point to when you've got to stop doing that. Say like 3 of them. You've got to maybe increase your credit so that later on you may be able to get in another line of credit. So you've got to possibly think ahead of time and say, well, if I get business credit on this one, I won't be able to get it on the next one. Is this deal good enough for me to do that? Or should I talk to the seller and convince them maybe a no credit, no cash kind of deal, where maybe a lease option or some other thing, but which is not something that I specialize in. So you've got to look at all of the ways to do deals, because if anybody with cash who flips houses knows that if you have $100,000 to deal with and you start buying houses, and say each house is going to cost you $20,000, and then $20,000 to fix up, so that's $40,000. You can only be able to do that twice before you're out of money. You'll have that third house, but you won't have another 20 to fix it up. Then that's where business credit would obviously come in, if that's something you want, or if those deals happen with you a lot, there should be a link in the description below to help you with that. But some of these deals you're going to be wasting your time with talking to the seller. And sometimes the seller may be trying to shop it around. And as soon as I find out that they're trying to shop it around, I usually just back out. I say, hey, let me know when you really want to sell it, when you really want to get rid of it, and come talk to me, and I'll follow up with them every month after that to see if they are motivated. And I've got some where the property's vacant and it's all brick and it's just sitting there and they want way too much for it, but I'll still follow up with them. But I won't waste my time on them. I'll just send a text, or I'll call them, ask them, oh, okay, still not interested, until they tell me to stop calling them or mailing them or restraining order. I'm going to keep following up with them and seeing if they're motivated. But I've had a lot of students waste their times and really waste my time, just trying to make this a deal, and it's not. You've never done a deal before, I understand, but some of these people some of them, they just want people to talk to. I had an old lady who hoarded cats, and a nice old lady. I talked with her for about, I'd say, 2 hours, but I was confident that I was going to get that deal and that she was motivated. And I talked about this earlier and on a couple other videos and a couple of the webinars, but there's a book called The Power of Habit. And in this book, they talk about the habit to gamble. And, if you get it on Audible, that'd probably be best. And it's a great book. You should definitely pick it up and learn the habits of other people and then of yourself. But they talk about gambling, and they give you a score on how susceptible you are to gamble. But they did a study. They hooked up wires to people's brains, and they gave those three, slot machines, where they pull the crank and you've got the three, you get 3 cherries or 3 lemons or 3 sevens, and you win money, right? And so you pull the crank and it randomly spins each of the numbers. They gave half the people were people who were addicted to gambling, and the other half weren't. They gave a bunch of wins, and they saw what happened to their brain, and then they gave a bunch of near wins, where it would be a 7-7, and then the 7 would come down and it'd be a cherry. And to the people who didn't gamble, there's almost no change. When they won, they felt excited, endorphins or whatever those things are called. But then the people who were gamblers, they had the same amount of, I think it was like cocaine. The same thing that cocaine does to your brain happened in their brain when they got a near miss and when they got a win. So people, through reading this, you'll realize that people will get near wins in real estate. They will talk to people, they will get almost to the closing table, and then it'll fall apart. And they'll get these near wins, and they'll get that same amount of happiness from it that they would from actually doing a deal. And once you realize this, start to distance yourself as soon as you see it going down that path that, oh, this is going to be a near win. I'd rather you focus on the dumpy looking house that you have a cash buyer for, that doesn't look as sexy, that doesn't look as good. But if a cash buyer will buy anything in that area, do that deal with them and make like $5,000. You may not be making that nice $10,000, but make that $5,000 on that little deal and get the money coming in. And you'll find that if you focus on deals like that instead of stuff in nice areas in rich neighborhoods, and just talking to people and never getting anything done, you'll start doing deals. And that is the goal, is to start doing deals and then getting that money coming in, that seed money, and then rolling it over into your marketing, maybe hiring a VA and getting more deals coming in. There's always that guy at these real estate meetings and these meetups where they're on this MLM, they're on this other program, they're an affiliate for this guy, they've got an affiliate link for that. If you're on Facebook with them, you always see every week they're posting some new affiliate link to some new thing. They're always selling something new, right? Whether it's like fitness water or whatever, it's because they get that near win. And they're never really a master of any of those programs. There's a guy on my Facebook right now, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but his name is like P. Phitzer, F-P-H-I-Z-E-R, I think is what it is. And I think that's the name of his company, and that's his last name. But he's on there, and every group, every couple of days, every Facebook update, he'll post up, hey, I flip houses, put your money in and get 10% back on your investment. At first I was like, man, this guy 10%, like that's not worth it. But then after a while he started growing on me, and whenever you've got a bunch of money to put, and you think, well, gee, where am I going to put this money? Who am I going to lend it out to? And every week he's got pictures of new properties he's doing. And it's like, that's the guy to go to if you want 10% on your money and you want to put it into real estate, and you want positive cash flow, you want definite numbers on your returns, as opposed to the stock market, whether it's going to go up or down. And you can actually go to these properties and see them while he's fixing them up. And that's all he does. So he's the go-to guy for that. Like, he doesn't, do 15%. He doesn't do 5%. He doesn't do apartments. He doesn't jump into all these other things. He sticks to that one thing, and he does it. There's no near wins. There's no, well, I'm trying out this new program. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. That's all he does, and he does it well. And he's probably got so many of these, now that he's getting 10% with each go, or he's probably making 20. And since you're putting up the money, you're making 10. But I think you end up making more, because if you're putting up money, that's literally all you're doing, is you're just here. And there's a lot of investors in your area, most definitely, that are doing this. And if that's how you'd like to do it passively, I can get you basically pull money out of your company in the form of business credit, credit cards that you can turn into cash. So if that's something, there should be a link in the description below for you for that. But if you want to take a more detailed approach, I would say just start flipping houses and making that the cash, and then use the business credit to lend to people like this in the background. We kind of got off the subject a little bit, but if you found that helpful, imagine what you're going to get once you get into the one-on-one coaching, and the group coaching, and the 12-week boot camp. So there's a link below if you want to get into the group coaching and the webinars. If you want to step it up a notch, you can go into one-on-one, where you'll work directly with me. You'll keep 100% of the deals. I don't have my hand in your pot. That's not how I make the money. And then we have a 12-week boot camp where we will take the whole year's curriculum, and we will crunch it down into a 12-week program where you will be flipping houses in less than 30 days, which I'm really excited about. And again, that should be in the description below. So, moral of the story, learn to say no to some of the deals and wait for that really good deal to come in, so that you'll have the ability to say yes. And I hope you found that helpful. Thanks again, and Magic Mike out.
Thanks for watching the video. We appreciate your viewership. By the way, guys, make sure you subscribe to 100%finance.com. We have a plethora of tools that can help you succeed financially. We have a report on credit repair, 3 tips on how you can improve your FICO score. We also have a business credit ebook. We have a ton of real estate related documents, from deal analyzers to a mortgage calculator, a whole bunch of resources. You just have to subscribe. And one last thing, don't want to forget, we are offering free live webinars to answer your questions. This is only made available to our website subscribers. So you have to subscribe to 100%finance.com to receive the details as to the date, the time, and the call-in information for the webinars to answer your credit repair, business credit, or business funding needs, as well as your real estate related questions. Thank you guys again for watching, and subscribe.